It is my pleasure to introduce our presiding official, the Director of Operations for the 432nd Aircraft Communications Maintenance Squadron, Captain Ira Feliciano.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's my honor and privilege to stand before you today as the presiding officer for this ceremony, as we gather here to celebrate and commemorate the 24 years of military service given by Master Sergeant Paul Wood. While we had a short time to get to know Paul, he and I was able to sit down to discuss his career, and may I say it has been quite interesting. Master Sergeant Wood hails from Vidor, Texas, a city located in the southeast of the state. While attending high school there, he met his wife, Clayna, in 1985. This connection would be a significant point of his life, but I'll leave it to him to tell that part of the story. After high school, he attended Sam Houston University, where he earned a bachelor's degree in business administration, and shortly afterwards, he pursued work post-college. Ultimately, he was not satisfied with how things were going, and after much deliberation of how he wanted to invest in his future, Paul chose to join the military. That would be the first note of his flexibility and adaptation to overcome hurdles. Airman Wood would enlist in the world's greatest Air Force in August of 1994. I know 1994 was a very long time ago. I myself was only 8 years old. And actually, your LT was born that year. Lieutenant Petcher was born in 1994. Can you believe that? So I did some historical research for us and wanted to share with you all. So in 1994, Jeff Bezos actually founded Amazon.com, which we all know is a huge marketplace, online marketplace today. Netscape Navigator was released and quickly became the market leader for web browsers. I don't know where they're at right now. Original PlayStation 1 was launched, changing the gaming world forever. Forrest Gump claimed the #1 spot in films, earning multiple Academy Awards. Other great movies such as Shawshank Redemption, Pulp Fiction, and The Lion King were also released that year. The long-running TV sitcom Friends debuted on NBC. And R&B music seemed to top the charts with Whitney Houston's I Will Always Love You, Boyz II Men's I'll Make Love to You, and Seal's Kiss on the Rose being at the top. Sport news throughout that year were overlooked by unfortunate events. Tonya Harding being stripped of her national figure skating title. Major League Baseball players went on strike for 232 days, which they actually canceled that season. And who could forget, accused of murder charges, O.J. Simpson flees the police in the white Ford Bronco. Now, on a more serious note, at this time, the world population was estimated to be about 5.4 billion folks. Average cost of gas was $1.09 per gallon. Unemployment was around 6% at the time. In world news, thousands of Tutsi population were massacred in the Rwanda genocide. South Africa holds its first interrelationship election where Nelson Mandela was actually elected president. Kim Il-sung dies of a heart attack and is succeeded by his son Kim Jong-il from North Korea. Sweden joins the European Union, while its close neighbor Norway votes against their own joining of the European Union. At the time, President Bill Clinton was still in his first term. I made major decisions to include signing of the North American Free Trade Agreement with Mexico and Canada. The Kremlin Accords was agreed upon with the Russian president. Lifting of the trade embargo against Vietnam. And finally, removing U.S. forces from Somalia, about half a year later, sent U.S. forces into the Persian Gulf. So as tensions rise in the Southeast and Middle East, as we all know, these were some of the world events that was happening as young Paul Wood decided to enlist in the Air Force. After passing the rite of entry known as basic training, the Air Force sent Airman Wood to his technical training on space systems at Keesler Air Force Base. His class was comprised of 6 students, and at the end of the training, his instructor said they would go in different directions. 4 of them were to go to Holloman Air Force Base, 1 of them to Buckley Air Force Base, Colorado, and 1 to Cape Canaveral, Florida. I don't know about you with those choices. I know which one I would have wanted to choose. But of course, we know the Air Force sends you in the direction, and that's what you got to go with. But I don't know what Paul did to pull some strings, but he actually got the Cape Canaveral assignment. So in June of 1995, Airman Wood proceeded to his first assignment as a NAV Star Maintenance Apprentice, Cape Canaveral, Florida. Assigned to Detachment 1 of the 2nd Space Operations Squadron, Airman Wood was characterized as an exceptional performer and outstanding airman as he performed maintenance on multiple ground antennas. Most notably, he scored a 92% on his career development courses, which is still considered a big deal to us airmen to this day, and showcased his value as a key player in restoring critical operations during the Hurricane Bertha evacuation. After 2 years in July 1997, Senior Airman Wood would be reassigned to the 18th Space Surveillance Squadron. One of his major career highlights occurred here. You see, prior to 1997, the United States Air Force's European Command designated Morón, Spain as a limited base, meaning austere manning and no permanently assigned tactical forces. As USAFE looked to adjust towards world events in Southeast Asia, Paul was one of 85 Americans assigned a station at Morón as it began to expand a pivotal staging area to support deployments downrange. As a young airman, Paul was part of the original cadre tasked to stand up the Transportable Optical System mission, which was critical to the base mission. Things were going great at Morón, but unfortunately, Senior Airman Wood encountered a personal situation, once again looked to adapt and overcome the obstacle. The Air Force assisted him in doing so, and in 1999, he actually cross-trained to the medical field. Back in his home state at Lackland Air Force Base, he served as an outpatient records technician and later as a non-commissioned officer in charge when he served on staff sergeant. Under the 59th Medical Support Squadron and 759th Medical Operations Squadron, his supervisors reported he was consistently highly motivated, positive, and a hard-charging NCO. Responsible for maintaining over 80,000 dependents and retired personnel medical records while processing and organizing 17 to 1,800 documents daily. You can see how this can be very challenging to keep that positive attitude. 3 years later, Paul's issue was resolved, and in 2002, the Air Force allowed him to return to his original career field, which was now known as satellite, wideband, and telemetry systems. The icing on the cake was that they sent him to the 1st Combat Communications Squadron at Ramstein Air Base, Germany. For 2 years, he spent time maintaining deployable satellite terminals and training his crew to become more efficient and expedient on packing up $2.2 million worth of equipment in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom. He and his team's efforts did not go unnoticed, as they were recognized as the 2002 Common Info Large Work Center of the Year. Next, Staff Sergeant Wood was reassigned to 422nd Communications Squadron, Royal Air Force, Crowton, England. During my own career, I personally had an opportunity and a chance to see what this particular unit does. May I say it was a prime position for Paul to serve under. The unit is one of 2 major communications conduit from the United States to Europe, and it provides support for downrange as well. Paul served for several years at RAF Crowton, primarily as a satellite crew chief, and leading 24/7 ops, he and his team maintained satellite terminal entry points and vital command and control traffic at an impressive 98.8%. Very similar to the RPA operations team. This was key to his unit's receipt of the Defense Information Systems Agency Europe Global Information Grid Facility of the Year award. While assigned to this unit, he also had a chance to deploy twice, once to Camp Victory and once to UNAS, in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom and Operation Enduring Freedom. He had a direct impact to warfighters, both in the air and on the ground, as he resolved major safety concerns and secured 10,000 sorties, as well as supported 35 networks in 12 brigades. In 2012, it was evident that his performance paid off, as Technical Sergeant Wood was selected for the rank of Master Sergeant and also a new assignment. The Air Force finally decided to bless him with remote pilot aircraft operations here at Creech Air Force Base. As both RPA Communications and Radio Frequency Transmission Production Superintendent, Master Sergeant Wood has contributed to further this enterprise. The ACMS is one of its kind in the Air Force, and Master Sergeant fit to build it to partake to its successes. Master Sergeant Wood, I know this was a long time coming, and I hope you look back at that moment when you were deliberating whether or not to join the military and what to do to invest in your future, and I think you made the right choice. You invested in yourself, you invested in your professionalism for the future and future endeavors, and you invested most importantly for the support of your family, which is the most important thing. Thank you to your family and friends, not only for attending, but for the sacrifice that you've given throughout all the years, especially to Tilly and Adeline. Thank you. She's leaving there, the Air Force strives for excellence from the airmen, but those of us in uniform know we could not do it without our family and friends, or as I like to call it, our support infrastructure. And with that being said, Mr. Sergeant Wood, time has come for the Air Force to return you back to your family fully. Place the orders.
Attention to orders. Department of the Air Force, Washington, D.C., Special Order Number AC 012223, dated 4 June 2018. Retirement of Master Sergeant Paul L. Wood, Production Superintendent, 432nd Aircraft Communications Maintenance Squadron, Creech Air Force Base, Nevada, is relieved from active duty assignment effective 1 February 2019. Master Sergeant Paul L. Wood is retired in the grade of Master Sergeant by order of the Secretary of the Air Force. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Sergeant Wood has received a certificate of appreciation from the President of the United States. It reads, Certificate of Appreciation for Service in the Armed Forces of the United States of America, Master Sergeant Paul L. Wood. I extend to you my personal thanks and the sincere appreciation of a grateful nation for your contribution of honorable service to our country. You have helped maintain the security of the nation during a critical time in its history with a devotion to duty and a spirit of sacrifice in keeping with the proud traditions of military service. My best wishes to you for happiness and success in the future. Signed, Donald J. Trump, Commander-in-Chief. To commemorate his retirement, Captain Feliciano will now present Sergeant Wood with a certificate of retirement. It reads, To all who shall see these presents, greeting. This is to certify that Master Sergeant Paul L. Wood, having served faithfully and honorably, was retired from the United States Air Force on the first day of February 2019. Signed, General David Goldfein, Chief of Staff of the Air Force, and Colonel Julian Cheater, Commander, 432nd Wing. Congratulating you on your retirement from the United States Air Force. Master Sergeant Paul L. Wood, the achievements and contributions you have made throughout your career are indicative of the core values of our great service. Your retirement is well deserved, but your selfless contributions will be sorely missed. On behalf of all airmen, thank you for your faithful and devoted service to our nation. As this chapter in your life closes and a new one begins, I hope the years ahead are filled with more great memories and continued success. Signed, Caleb O. Wright, Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force.
That's just for you. When you can read, you'll be able to read what it says.
Family members in attendance. At this time, we have two presentations from Master Sergeant Josh Hanks on behalf of the 432nd Aircraft Communications Maintenance Squadron.
So the first one, we'll present in a second here, is specifically on behalf of men and women of this unit, 432nd ACMS. Paul, I know doing your time here as a pro soup and shift work, sacrifice, with your family, all that is a huge deal. And I appreciate you as part of our team. And you taught me a lot when I first Scott here, so 7% this to you. You got you a nice look over here. You got your MQ1, your MQ9, your
Oh, yeah.
fist in her hand.
Oh, yeah, a few times.
HG. Second one, of course, this commemorates your career. This is a really cool way to symbolize some time throughout your career. You've got your DU, your DCU, your old stripes and everything, so this is really cool. So let's go ahead and just kind of do this one over here, HG. Show everyone what we got. 24 years of service. Thank you, Paul.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, select members of the Creech ceremonial team will perform a flag folding ceremony in honor of Master Sergeant Wood's retirement. The flag used for today's ceremony has a very special meaning to Sergeant Wood, as it was flown over the United States Capitol. This will serve as a reminder to Sergeant Wood on the impact he and those that served alongside him has had on the war on terrorism. For more than 200 years, the American flag has been the symbol of our nation's unity, as well as a source of pride and inspiration for millions of citizens. Born on June 14, 1777, the Second Continental Congress determined that the flag of the United States be 13 stripes, alternating between 7 red and 6 white, and that the Union be 13 stars, white in a blue field representing a new constellation. Between 1777 and 1960, the shape and design of the flag evolved into the flag presented before you today. The 13 horizontal stripes represent the original 13 colonies, while the stars represent the 50 states of the Union. The colors of the flag are symbolic as well. Red symbolizes hardiness and valor, white signifies purity and innocence, and blue represents vigilance, perseverance, and justice. Traditionally a symbol of liberty, the American flag has carried the message of freedom and inspired Americans both at home and abroad. In 1814, Francis Scott Key was so moved at seeing the Stars and Stripes waving after the British shelling of Baltimore's Fort McHenry that he wrote the words to the Star-Spangled Banner. In 1892, the flag inspired Francis Bellamy to write the Pledge of Allegiance, our most famous flag salute and patriotic oath. In July 1969, the American flag was flown in space when Neil Armstrong planted it on the surface of the moon. Today our flag flies on constellations of Air Force satellites that circle our globe, and on the fin flash of our aircraft in harm's way in every corner of the world. Indeed, it flies in the heart of every airman who serves our great nation. The sun never sets on our U.S. Air Force, nor on the flag we so proudly cherish. Since 1776, no generation of Americans has been spared the responsibility of defending freedom. Today's airmen remain committed to preserving the freedom that others won for us, for generations to come. By displaying the flag and giving it a distinctive fold, we show respect to the flag and express our gratitude to those individuals who fought and continue to fight for freedom, at home and abroad. Since the dawn of the 20th century, airmen have proudly flown the flag in every major conflict on lands and skies around the world. It is their responsibility and our responsibility to continue to protect and preserve the rights, privileges, and freedoms that we as Americans enjoy today. The United States flag represents who we are. It stands for the freedom we all share and the pride and patriotism we feel for our country. We cherish its legacy as a beacon of hope to one and all. Long may it wave. Ladies and gentlemen, the moment we've all been waiting for. Today's honoree, Master Sergeant Paul Wood, United States Air Force, retired.
Thanks everybody for coming out. I had to come over here and look at a few of my notes. Where to start? First off, Sergeant Perry, were we able to get a little table or something? Is there something I could? Oh, this right here. This will work perfect. Okay, first off, I want to thank everybody who came out, Chaplain for the invitation, Sergeant Perry for all his hard work, Captain Feliciano especially for that great introduction and all those nice things. He didn't really know me very well before all this started, and I appreciate everything he said. Gosh, all the people I've worked with, Sergeant Hill, Sergeant Wixon, Josh, LT, HG over there, Sergeant Miller. I'm going to talk about you all a little more later too. Sheriff Morris, thanks for coming out, really appreciate it. Sergeant Watts. And how could I forget Jim? Thank you so much for doing this today. Whenever I decided on a date, you were my first choice, and I really appreciate you doing this for me. So yeah, I want to thank everybody for coming out. Anyway, getting back to being here at Preach, just want to bring up a couple things. I got here in May of 12. Right now, I am pretty sure I'm the senior continuous person at GCS Comp who's been there the longest. Jen and Sergeant Vaughn, who was here, who is not here today, were both here when I got here in May of 12, and they went away, did different things for a while. She went and decided to be a TI for a little bit, then came back. And Sergeant Vaughn went to QA for a while and came back. But I've been in GCS Comp continuously since then. But anyway, Jen probably remembers some of the dark days we had here. And when I first got here in May of 12, I was still a fairly new Master Sergeant, and I'd never really been in charge of so many people at any one time. As a shift kind of ran here on FDU and combat at the same time. We didn't have two Master Sergeants, one on each side at the time, so it was kind of a lot of responsibility. And she probably remembers, I was all like gung-ho, and I came in and I pulled all the NCOs in within the first few days and of shift, and gave them tried to give them some kind of motivational speech. I think I quoted Vince Lombardi a few times and tried to really, tell them my perspective on things. And I was way over my head. And feel free to laugh anytime that Greg does. If you think anything's funny, please. But I was really gung ho, and I really probably went overboard a little bit. You probably remember a little bit of that. So, just to start out, I'm not going to go into a whole lot, but my mama, she always said I was a man of few words. Well, I think today I might be putting that to the test. But y'all, I know a lot of people couldn't probably make it today because of holidays and stuff, but those of you who did make it, y'all are going to get a little bit of a treat. Going back to basic training, when I came into basic training in 1995, I'm right here. When I came to basic training, we used to have what was called, some of you older people might remember this, the bus driver's cap. And they got rid of that, like, they had already said we're not going to wear this anymore, but it was still eligible to wear when I came in. So they issued them to us. And they said, well, by the time you get a basic training, you can't wear it anymore. So they gave us the option of wearing this hat in our original basic training thing, or you could wear the flight cap. And my basic training picture, which I think might be in the program, I'm wearing the bus driver cap, which doesn't exist anymore. So, and then, of course, some of you may or may not know that there was no such thing as PT gear until they started in basic training, until we were one of the first flights to get that as well. People used to run in there and do their PT in their BDU pants and their brown beige shirt. So you may see some of these in clothing sales, but these are the original shirts that we got issued at the issues. And I remember because we had a guy who got recycled, and he came into our shop, into our flight, and he used to have to, he did all the running in his BDUs and his brown shirt, while all of us were wearing this fancy PT gear and stuff. So it was kind of funny. And then, of course, most everybody always got a flight shirt. And I happen to be part of the 320 training squadron, which was the roughest and the toughest, Alcatraz.
Right.
And the names, I've still got the shirt with all the names. I don't care if you wear this anymore. Probably bust in two if I try to put it on. Anyway, one shout out I want to give from basic training. There was a guy I was with, Airman Alec, retired Master Sergeant a few years back. I ran into him once in Germany a few years ago. But he was the first person I ever met that was truly a wingman. He was a good friend. We hung out. We went to tech school. We were the same career field together. So he was one of the ones that got shipped off to Holland. But there was, I had a hard time running. I still have a hard time running. But I was having a hard time meeting the standards on that. And, I was afraid about getting recycled and all that. And I was working real hard at it. But the night before we were going to do the final run, I got assigned, believe it or not, for dorm guard duty for 3 o'clock in the morning before we're supposed to run that morning. Of course, I need my rest. He stepped up. He was very fast. He was very good at all that. And he stepped up and took over dorm guard for me for that hour and let me sleep, so I didn't have broken up sleep. And I passed and everything, but that was the first initiation for me of somebody who stepped up and was a wingman. So Eric was just a great guy, and yeah. And then also we had these wonderful combat boots they issued us in basic training. I don't know how much these have changed. Well, I know they've changed now, but anyway, believe it or not, these boots, for me, were the most comfortable boots that I've ever had in the Air Force. I tried other boots when I got issued boots, but I literally wore these. I until 2007, off and on. And until they finally started cracking there. And I even went to see a guy in England to see about repairing it, and he just said it would cost more than what the boots were. So it was kind of crazy. But yeah, I really like those boots. Then I got to tech school. And most of you remember we used to have what they called, when I was in tech school, they called them MTMs, Military Training Managers. That was the guy that you reported to or whatever. And you used to have the open ranks and all that. And the one of the MTMs used to wear these chloroform boots, and you didn't have to, shine them or anything. I hated shining boots. I wasn't very good at it, and I hated spending money and paying anybody to do it. So they told me that they said that, yeah, you can wear chloroform boots for open ranks, but you can't get one of those passes to get out of open ranks another time. Well, anyway, needless to say, I went out and bought a pair of chloroform boots just so that I could make sure that I passed open ranks every time. So I had a pair of chloroform boots that I had in basic training, tech school. So, anyway, so I went from tech school, and I'm not going to go through all my assignments and everything. The captain kind of went through all that. And there have been a lot of people who have been influential in my Air Force career. Some good, some bad. Had, like all of you, I'm sure, had good supervisors, and you had bad supervisors. There's only one supervisor that I really feel like I have to do a shout out to, and some of you may or may not know her, who were in the SATCOM career field. Retired Chief Master Sergeant Jeannie Vogt. She was my supervisor out at Crowton, and she was very special. She was the first supervisor I ever had that I felt like ever cared about me, both personally and professionally. She motivated me. I was not a very good NCO at that time, and she brought out the best in me by finding ways to motivate me, and she's the kind of person that still to this day I would go through a brick wall for. And I know we've all had people like that in our lives, and she was definitely one of those people. And I think she's retired, living in Florida now. So I'm really happy that I had her in my life for a time. Let's see, what else? So, like I said, the Air Force has given me a lot of highs and lows, a lot of disappointments, and a lot of exciting news. But overall, I've had a pretty good career. And I'm just going to bring this up, and again, this is something Jen can relate to more than probably the other people in GCSCOM, but the first years here, when I got here, were definitely the dark years. I mean, if you worked a swing shift that was 3 to 11, you were having a good night if you were gone by midnight. If you were gone an hour after shift for swing shift or mid shift, you were doing really good. But over the last few years, and not only that, my first month here, I had to put on this uniform like twice because we were having problems with people screwing up with work and screwing up with stuff off base. And I had a troop whose troop had screwed up, and we all had to report in front of the commander in service dress. It happened like twice in my first month here. And we had all kinds of issues like that, and it was just crazy, and there was a lot of bad morale. Over the last few years, though, that stuff has really cleared up, and everything's been streamlined, and a lot of credit for that goes to Sergeant Hill. He's done a lot of stuff to make things better for the guys. I know he's moved from the shop, but yeah, he did a lot of things to streamline what we do and make everything a better pace and work out better for everybody. So, and try to give, and I've definitely seen a lot better. There's only so much morale you can have out here at Creek, right? It's kind of hard being out here. But things have gotten so much better than they used to be. Yeah. Um, Oh, changing the culture, blah, blah, blah. Oh, and I am glad, like I said earlier, to see some of the people from the shop. So a couple of people that I definitely want to give a shout out to. Like I said, HG, we've worked together a lot over the last few years. You've been a lot of help as my right-hand man, taking care of things, and I really appreciate everything you've done. Couple of people I want to give a shout out to. Y'all may know Sammy Jo Davis recently retired. She was going to be here today, but she's probably crying right now because when they moved last night's game to LA, she went to see the Chiefs and they didn't win. So she's probably crying. She was going to try to make it, but I don't know what time she got in. And then Danielle Miller. Some of the last time, like I said, GCSCom, last few years I've enjoyed a lot more than before, but some of the last times that I actually remember having a lot of fun and having a good time was working weekends with Danielle and Sammy Jo, and we used to have a good time on weekends, doing our job and getting everything done, but joking and laughing and having a really good time. So Danielle, thank you for that. And then her husband over there, Steve, we've had some good back and forth. I tell him that I got him that tech sergeant stripe by getting him that most recent deck. And he finally came through with the cupcakes.
I've gotten another one since then.
Hey. And, but I got you the stripe that got you that tech sergeant. I got you the deck that got you the tech sergeant stripe. That's it.
Yes.
And then, but we used to joke, he thought he was a Star Trek aficionado, but he really wasn't. He comes up to me with a quote one day and says, "Jim, if we do not fight to the death, they will kill us both." And it's supposed to be a quote from Spock from the episode where they fight. But in all actuality, the quote was very incorrect. He had gotten it from the Jim Carrey movie, Cable Guy. And I went and rewatched the episode, and that quote was on there. I told him about that. But yeah, he did a very good Spock impersonation of that. We used to joke about that for a really long time until he decided to leave the shop and go do something else. But anyway, thank y'all. And, okay, and the other shout out I definitely want to give is some of you know that I recently got back as of last week from doing an internship through Hiring Our Heroes through the Education Office and the Chamber of Commerce here in Las Vegas. And it was 2.5 months, and of course it's hard to get any out processing done during that time, so the last week and a half has been very hectic for me planning for this and out processing. But I'd like to give a shout out to Sierra Schaefer, who is here with Reggie, one of our other interns. And the program, I just can't emphasize for you guys who are getting out or are retiring, if you get the opportunity, go talk to the Education Office, get in touch with Sierra. It's a great program. I didn't end up taking a job with the company I interned with. I ended up finding another job. Some people got jobs with the companies, and either way, it was a very good experience for me getting out in the civilian world and working with civilians and seeing what I need. And it's a great program. Like I said, the military pays you your normal pay, and you get a chance to see the other side of things before you actually get out. So Sierra, thank you very much. If you get a look after it, you can look in my shadow box over there. I've got my little Hiring Our Heroes pin included in there. So, all right, and of course, first and foremost, the people that we thank are our family. They're the most important people in our lives, and they're the people that are always looking out for us. So we'll talk about my family. Who do I start with? Well, first we'll start with the people that aren't here. My daddy and my pops, who was my mother's second husband, my stepfather, but he was my pops. Okay, first off, I just want to disclaimer, any of you who hate hearing from me talking about sports and all that kinds of crap all the time and get annoyed with me and whatnot, you have my daddy to blame for that. I definitely got that for him. But my dad worked really hard all his life. But he told me two things, and I've not always lived up to it, but I've tried to. One of the things that I remember that he taught me, he was a grocery store manager for a time, and he always taught me to take care of the people that take care of you. That's something that I've learned from Chief Pope as well, and other good supervisors. And then also, don't ever expect anybody to do something that you're not willing to do yourself or you haven't done before. And I've always tried to live up to that in my military career as much as possible. The man was punctual to a fault. My brother and sister will attest to the fact that, believe it or not, his watch was always set 20 minutes fast. And he always expected, if he was going to be somewhere, to be there 20 minutes early based on what that watch said. So he was always 40 minutes early to wherever he wanted to be. Okay, my pops. He was a Marine. He actually enlisted and was in Korea at the end of the Korean conflict. He wasn't in any fighting, but he could hear gunfire in the background and that kind of thing. I mean, it was right at the end. And he served 8 years in the Marines, got out, was in the Marine Reserve for a little bit, and then finished 30 years in the reserves, in the Army Reserves, and retired. He taught me a lot of life lessons, not the least of which was self-reliance. Always take care of yourself, rely on yourself. Nobody's going to take care of you better than you take care of yourself, take care of your family. Let's see, what else? Okay, and I would like to think that both of them are looking down today at me and saying, you know what, you did pretty good, boy. You did pretty good. So I like to think they're a little proud of me anyway. My brother and my sister, Mark is 11 years older than I am. Kim is 8 years older than him. There was a significant gap. I was a surprise for my mother. She wanted me, but I was not necessarily expected after that big gap. Anyway, my brother and sister have always cared and loved me so much. I remember a time, this is really hard. I remember a time when I was about 6 years old, and we lived in our little house on Island Street there in Vidor, and we had this big old pile of bricks that was sitting in the middle of the yard that was there my whole life that we lived there. And I was always told, stay away from that, stay away from those bricks, there's snakes in there and stuff, don't put your hands in there, but those bricks never got cleaned up over all the years. Anyway, we lived in that house, and there was one day in particular when my brother and sister, who loved me so much, my sister used to talk. I hear stories about how she carried me around like a baby, and I was her little baby. And they came in to me, and they said, Paul, we're fixing to go down to the convenience store. Is there anything we can get for you? And I said, and I was 6 years old, and I said, yeah, you know, I'd really like a new grape and a box of Junior Mints. I don't know if any of you know what new grape is, but it's a it was a grape soda, and you know, we used to have the 12-ounce bottles back then, glass bottles. And I said, I would love them. You grape and junior mints, and they would love them. God, these people are so good to me. And then they went to the store, and a little while later, they came back. And you know what they had with them? They had an empty bottle of New Grape and an empty box of Junior Mints. You had two? Well, guess what, Mark and Keon? Today, I have a New Grape soda, and you're not getting any of it. I have a box of Junior Mints, and I may give y'all two if that's the case. I don't remember the story that day, but I know that's it.
He probably wants us now.
We have two in the box.
There you go. You didn't get none of my soda, though. Anyway, I know they love me, and they used to tickle me to death too. But they love me. They took good care of me. Yes, literally tickled. And I remember a quick story about Mark. He was a senior in high school when I was going to kindergarten. And I just remember one day adamantly, he used to have this crappy car. What was it, a Monza or something? Mazda.
808.
Yeah, maroon. And that was a piece of junk. And I remember he was taking me to school, and that car just stalled out in front of our house, and he was getting out and trying to push it to get it started and stuff. Those were crazy days. Anyway,
Is there a story?
I guess. No, not really. It's just I'm sitting here shooting the bull. Okay. All right, let's go on next. Mama, what can I say? You guys that have worked with me, some of you like me, some of you may hate me. I don't know. You may keep it under your breath. I don't know. But I can tell you anything that any of you like about me probably came from her. I can assure you all of my good qualities came from her, but none of the bad ones. She flew in for this ceremony after she had major back surgery, just a month or two ago, and rehab and everything. And I know it's been very hard for her to do that, but she wanted to be here so badly today. And my brother and sister being here was totally unexpected initially, so that was really good. And all I can say, Mama, is you have true grit. True grit. I love you. Okay. My sweet Adeline is apparently not in the room anymore. She's a little upset. Uncle Ben's got her. What can I say about Adeline? She's 2.5 years old, and during the last 2 years, she's touched my soul. And one day, I'm looking at it. Oh, by the way, any of you who don't know, you're being videotaped, so make sure and smile for the camera and don't make faces, or make sure if you're saying something rude about me that you're not near the camera, so that I go watch it later on and find out. But one day when you look back at this recording, I hope you look back and be able to say your daddy was okay. And I really love you, and I love my baby girl. Talena, my bride. Myself and my mother are the only, myself and her mother are the only people who always call her Talena. Most people call her Tilly. My bride, my brown-eyed girl. I don't need any tissues. Everybody, before the ceremony's over, I want you to come look at this picture right here. This is Talena and I at a school formal in 1985. Jingle Ball in 1985. She moved off shortly after, and then 27 years we reconnected on social media. And then we've been married for 3.5 years now. And baby, we've had some unexpected twists and turns, with the best one being that little girl that I was just talking about. That little girl, I actually wrote down that little girl who's sitting with you, but obviously she's not sitting with you. So, you and Adeline are definitely my two best girls, and y'all mean the world to me, and I just want to take care of y'all. I still believe this retirement and hopefully some of the things that are ahead, that the best times are ahead for us. And I think we're still on track for that forever plan. 3 is our lucky number. That's been determined. That's our family lucky number. So I'll tell you 3 of the best things that Talena has ever done for me. The first being that she made eye contact with me on that bus in 1985. And number 2, deciding to marry me. And then finally, number 3, talking me into buying a house instead of renting. We're trying to sell our house, and it looks like we may have a good offer coming in today that may make things easier on the other end when we go east. You are, and always will be, a hard habit to break. I love you, baby. All right, and I know this is what y'all mostly been waiting for. I'm going to close today with 3 quotes. Again, 3 being our lucky number. So, first, my mama, yeah, you can look now when I say your name. She always had a saying for me, and I hope y'all get this when I say this, and I'll explain a little bit. My mama always taught me, she said, always remember, peeing comes first. And think about it for a minute. Think about it, you GCS comm folks. When you're out there working on electronic equipment and you're doing the pee-pee dance and you've got to pee, you're not concentrating on working that equipment, so you're not giving your best effort. If you're taking a test and you've got to pee, you can't do your best, can you? So peeing comes first. Take care of that first, because you're not going to be able to do your best in whatever you're doing unless if you've got to pee. So just remember that. Get your troops out. What? It's true. Secondly, quote from my wonderful wife, Talena, who gets very upset with me when I fold clothes in the living room and then I walk back to the bedroom to get something and I leave the clothes on the sofa instead of taking the basket back there because I'm not using my time wisely. She always says, hands in, hands out, which means basically if you've got something, you got dishes in the living room and you walk into the kitchen, take them to the kitchen. You got clothes to take in the bedroom, and you go there, take them out, take them back. Hands in, hands out. Don't waste your time. Make sure to make the most out of every trip you make so you're not wasting trips. So, I guess that one wasn't as funny. But hands in. Yes, ma'am.
I really always said, remember what good stock you are.
Okay. She had said that before, but I thought the other quote was funnier, but it didn't. I don't think most of them got the joke. But you did always tell me peeing goes first, because if you've got to pee, you can't do what you're supposed to be doing. You didn't have to tell them that part. Was that funny?
Finally, the joke came through.
I guess I'm not a stand-up. Okay. Thirdly, last quote comes from a musician that I saw last weekend with my wife on her birthday. And young people here, if they even know who this is, when I mention the name, they're going to say, well, that's lame. I think that's the term they use now, right? Lame. And the older people who are sitting here, who do know who this guy is and have listened to him, they're going to maybe not use the word lame, but they're going to say that it's lame, even though deep down in their hearts that they know they like to listen to this guy's music and they really enjoy it. So this final quote comes from the musical icon, Barry Manilow, who I saw this past weekend.
75.
Yes, he's 75 years old apparently, just 3 years younger than my mom. Oh, sorry. Anyway, to quote this musical icon, Barry Manilow, looks like we made it. I've made it, and it's been a wonderful career. And I thank everyone who's here who was a part of that, start to finish. Yeah, it's been great. So I just again want to thank you all for coming, and I know we didn't get as many people here as we want, so we've got a ton of food in there that's going to go to PCS. Please, after you get done here, go have some sub sandwich and enjoy and grab soda or whatever. And invite your friends. And before I go, I'm going to have one more swallow of this soda. We call this soda water in Texas.
So radar on that.
Your daddy called it soda water. Wrap it up. You want me to cut? You're trying to listen to me? Maybe I'll take a little more time. This is my captive audience. This is the last time I'll ever have this. Anyway, I'm just kidding. Thank you all for coming.
We of Creech Air Force Base are proud to have served with Sergeant Wood and his family, and we wish them continued success and Godspeed. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the singing of the Air Force song and the departure of the official party.